Hey, happy Friday, everybody. You made it through another week. Congratulations. I'm proud of you. You're tuned into the Scoreboard, 844 Studio 4. That's 844-788-3464. We're going to spend the next, let's call it 1 hour. 1 hour or so. Hanging out, talking about the world of sports, things going on. Panther preseason game coming up tomorrow night here in the Charlotte area. Home game. Not that it matters, it's a preseason game, but hey, football back in Bank of America Stadium starting tomorrow. Got to be excited for that. Also, the NASCAR Cup Series moves on to Michigan. We're going to hear from a couple of drivers today as we preview the race this weekend. I don't have any more comments. I don't have any more anything else to talk about when it comes to what happened with Austin Dillon, Joey Logano, Denny Hamlin. We spent plenty of time talking about that today, and if you didn't hear that conversation, go back to Wednesday's show. We spent about 45 minutes on it. Today, what we're going to do is we're going to look ahead. We're going to look forward. We're going to reset, look at the points, see what's gotten shaken up here over the past couple of days, because things did get shaken up. You know, we thought Dillon was going to be in the playoffs. Then he gets out of the playoffs. Now he's below 30th. Not that you have to be 30th or higher to get into the playoffs anyway. They took care of that a while ago. Also, the MLB season motoring on. Well, I shouldn't say motoring on. That's the Cup Series. But the MLB season is winding down. There's a lot of good races to watch right now for the playoffs. A lot of teams who I didn't expect to be putting up this kind of a fight at the end of the year, like the Kansas City Royals. I had no idea they were going to be that good this year. The Diamondbacks, the Padres, the two hottest teams in baseball right now, that is also very surprising to me. We talked yesterday about the Pittsburgh Pirates and the bad fall off that they've had at the end of the year here, when they were really starting to turn into one of those dark horse teams where you'd say, you know what? Maybe they have a chance. Not to be, though. We also have some news to go over. College football news and NIL news. Yeah, NIL. Remember, name and image and likeness. The players can now get money for their name. That's why there's a new college football game. That's why you're hearing about how much money athletes are going to make. That's why you're seeing jerseys and things like that. And there's problems with it. There are problems with it. It's the Wild West right now. Not many times you see the Wild West of things, but with NIL and college football, there's not many rules, but they gotta rein this thing in. Miami, the U, could be in some NIL trouble. They're already being investigated, and there were already sanctions filed against them. It was the women's basketball team that had the sanctions, but Miami, man, they always seem to be in the controversy. They always do. So we'll talk about that. We're going to start the day off talking about the Carolina Panthers preseason game number 2 coming up later tomorrow night. You can listen to that right here on WSIC, by the way, if you want to. But some positives from today's practice, I should say. Apparently, the offense looked really good yesterday, and Bryce Young had a good day. And it's promising. And I was seeing articles on Charlotte Observer and things like that. Like, hey, I have hope now. It's like, oh, you just needed one good practice from the Panthers to give you hope. It's going to take a little bit more than that. Hate to break the news to everybody. I would love to see the Panthers do good this year. But it's a long road before we get there. We got to win a couple of games first. Then we'll see how the season goes. We're getting close. Next week, I am going to do my Panther preview either next week or the week after. We got to do it soon. a whole show dedicated to what the season looks like for the Carolina Panthers, what I think the record is going to be at the end of the year. I think last year I had them at 7-10. If that sounds right, maybe 6-11. Was not close. Was not close. Yeah, they won 2 games, 2-15. Spoiler, I'm not going to tell you that they're going to go 2-15 again, because if they do, they're in big trouble. Injuries, though, for the Carolina Panthers, man. It's very disheartening to see preseason injuries when we are not even in gameplay right now. These are just injuries that have been taking place during joint practices. We talked about Dane Jackson, starting cornerback for the Carolina Panthers. A serious injury, and he's going to miss about 6-ish weeks. The quote is, Dane's was a significant injury. That was the quote. J.C. Horn on a rep count as he comes back from his injury. Xavier Woods has a groin injury that could cost him a couple of weeks. I mean, it's been tough sledding for the Carolina Panthers. They got to stay healthy. And, injuries are going to happen. Yeah, I get it. It just hurts when it's in practice. When it's in a joint practice, too, because I get it. You're going to want to be competitive. You're going to be very competitive in a joint practice. But it still stings a little bit. Not as much as a preseason game injury, in my opinion. And that's always the question, right? It's, do you play your starters in the preseason games to keep them from getting hurt? I have always been of the mindset that, yes, you play your starters at least for a little bit. I'm not sitting here begging for the Carolina Panthers to put Bryce Young in for an entire quarter. Give him a drive. Give him one drive. Let him take the ball first, go down with his starting offense, see what they can do, and then sit him down and study that drive. Give him something to do, because sitting around during preseason games doing nothing, it's not helping. It isn't. He needs his reps. He needs to get better. And I'll continue to say this until they play him, because I have not seen anything that says who the starting quarterback for the Panthers is going to be tomorrow. We'll probably hear more about that tomorrow, day of game. But I'm concerned that we're not going to see Bryce Young again. And I really think we need to see Bryce Young out there. I don't care how successful the drive is. I don't care if he gets hit. I don't care if you let him hand it off 3 times and you punt it. Just put him out there. Let him get some game reps. It's not practice, and it's not joint practice. It's preseason. It's different. Carolina Panthers at home tomorrow night versus the Jets. It's a little tricky if you're going to want to watch this game. So on the other side of the commercial break, I want to make sure that everybody knows how to catch this football game if you are interested. So don't go anywhere. You're listening to The Scoreboard. We'll be back right after this.
Keep it right here. We'll have more of The Scoreboard with Joe Berg in just a moment from 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Well, after a couple of really pleasant days with that lower humidity, the muggies are set to start sliding up as we get into the upcoming weekend. A partly cloudy sky for our Friday. Temperatures will warm up to near 90 this afternoon with a low chance of an isolated shower or thunderstorm. Those chances will get better over the weekend, but still be hit or miss for our Saturday and Sunday. High temperatures both days right around 90, feeling closer to 100 with all that humidity. That's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
The WSIC app is available now wherever you get your apps, featuring local deals from great local businesses like Top Notch Gutters of Statesville.
Here is your WSIC community calendar. Langtree Live in Mooresville continues their free Thursday concert series with the Rocky Lynn Band on August 15th. Rocky brings his original and patriotic country music performance to Langtree Lake Norman off exit 31 from I-77. Grab your lawn chairs, set up your spot on the grass, eat and drink at the restaurants and pubs of Langtree, and enjoy the Rocky Lynn concert Thursday at 7 p.m. RevFast in Mooresville presents Hot Rods and Hops on Friday night. This monthly gathering for the car, truck, and motorcycle communities begins at 6 p.m. Food trucks and Hoptown Brewing will be on hand for eats and drinks. Bring your classic or new hot rod out and come make some new friends. RevFast Detail Shop in Mooresville presents Hot Rods and Hops on Friday night. The Cookout Monster Truck Bash is at the dirt track at Charlotte Motor Speedway this Saturday. Sparks will fly as the metal-bashing 2,000 horsepower machines return for a night of high-flying action on the planet's most diabolical outdoor course. Gates open at 4 p.m. Bring a Cookout Cup for free early access to the pit party beginning at 3:30. Pit party includes monster truck rides, inflatable slides, bounce houses, face painting, an autograph session, and souvenirs. Opening ceremonies will begin at 7. Visit CharlotteMotorspeedway.com or the CMS app for information and details. Ghostface Brewing in Mooresville rocks their parking lot this Sunday with a concert by Black Glass. Waves Entertainment brings their stage and sound to Ghostface for a show by Carolina's premier rock and roll cover band. The brewery will be open to serve their full kitchen and draft beer menus. Rock the Lot begins at 5 p.m. Bring your chairs for a good seat at the 6 p.m. Black Glass concert at Ghostface Brewing in Mooresville this Sunday. To keep up with all the events happening around the community and much more, including amazing local deals, download the WSIC News app today.
Prioritizing your health is one of the best ways to take care of yourself. From routine visits to the joys of pregnancy to the illnesses that stop you in your tracks, Iredell Health System will be by your side. Learn more at iredellhealth.org.
Who is this? This is 105.9 100.7.
WSIC. Local starts here.
Now more of the Scoreboard with Joe Berg on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Segment number 2 here on the Scoreboard. 844 Studio 4. That's 844-788-3464. If you're interested in being part of the program, as I apparently go through puberty right there, you can give me a call. I'll be here for the next 41 minutes. 41 minutes. That's how much time we got left on the Scoreboard on this beautiful Friday, hot Friday. I missed the cool weather from earlier this week. It was a lot nicer. And it wasn't as humid and gross out. And apparently it's going to rain soon. Anyway, 844 Studio 4, 844-788-3464. Call me up if you want to chat. We were talking about the Carolina Panthers. Right now, I'm going to let you know how to watch the game and how to listen to the game as well, if you are interested. The television broadcast is going to be on WJZY Fox. That is your local Fox affiliate. Whatever you have that gets the Fox channel, that is where it's going to be. The video will also apparently be streaming on the Panthers website, but you have to be in the immediate area to get the access to that. So I would assume that this area would be able to get the app or the website as well. Also, listen to it right here on WSIC. The local pregame show starts at 4 o'clock. So, driving down the road, want to listen to the Panthers? Tune in to WSIC right around 4 o'clock. We will have the game for you. But if you want to watch it, if you're at home on Saturday night, want to watch the game, Fox. It is your Fox affiliate station. So I guess, if you're DirecTV, it'd be channel 46. Antenna is like 46.1, I believe, for Fox. But you'll be able to find it. I know last week we kind of had some questions as to who was covering the game. Where was it being shown on television? That's because it was an NFL Network exclusive game. So it was a little weird to try to find that one. But if you were able to find it, well, good for you. You watched the first game. It was ugly. The second game, probably going to be ugly as well. Just letting you know what to be prepared for. Monday, we'll come back. We'll talk about the preseason game, give some thoughts on what kind of season the Panthers are looking for. You can't deduce all that much from preseason, especially when the starters aren't playing. I really hope they do get game action, though. I can't understate how important I think it is to play in the preseason. Let's start talking about the NASCAR Cup Series, as the ARCA Series, the Xfinity Series, and the Cup Series are all going to be at the Michigan International Speedway this weekend. There's already some things that are going on track today. We have finished Xfinity Series qualifying here on this Friday. We are now looking forward to the Henry Ford Health 200. That is the ARCA Menards race later tonight. Now, I do have results from practice for you. Looking to see when those are going to be updated, because it ended just a few minutes ago. So if you're wanting to know who's sitting on the pole for the Xfinity race, give me a bit. I promise I'm going to find it for you. We just got to make sure I get that pulled up here. The activities for Saturday. Going to have a lot of on-track festivities tomorrow as well. The Cup Series is going to make their first laps on the track at 12:30. That's going to be their practice session. Then at 1:20, qualifying for the Cup Series begins. And at 3:30, it's the Cabo Wabo 250. That is the Xfinity sponsor for Michigan International Speedway. Cabo Wabo. God, I love it. The Cabo Wabo 250. That's at 3:30. And then Sunday, the one everybody's going to want to watch, the 2:30 race on Sunday, the Firekeepers Casino 400. That is the NASCAR Cup Series. If you're unable to watch that race, which it will be on USA Network, if you're unable to watch that, you can listen right here on WSIC. Coverage begins at 1:30. And you'll be able to be in your car, drive around, and listen to the race. One of the great things about WSIC. As we head into Sunday, though, let's bring up a couple of quotes from some drivers that we want to hear from. Eric Jones is one of those drivers we're going to hear from. Here's Jones on if there's any extra pressure for him at Michigan.
You want to win every week, but, there's some kind of added excitement when you get to go race at a place that is home for you, and or a race that's really big, right? I mean, for me, racing in the 500 or the Brickyard or Darlington for the Southern 500, those all feel honestly similar to me when I get to go race at Michigan. So that's just how much it means to me. And I don't think I don't know if there's ever been a Michigan-born driver that's won at Michigan in a Cup race. Maybe one. I don't know if Benny Parsons did or not, but it would be cool to add on that list.
Obviously, a little bit of pressure there for Eric Jones being a driver from Michigan, but he doesn't feel that extra pressure. So that's interesting. Eric Jones has had an okay year this year. I guess that's the best way to put it. He did miss some time earlier in the year. If you remember, he actually got injured at a race earlier this year. I forget which race it was, but he missed 2 races, got the playoff waiver, so if he wins, he's going to be in. Eric Jones is a driver where I am not going to look for him this weekend at Michigan or next weekend at Daytona, but when we get to that final race before the playoffs at Darlington, that's a place where I think he would have a shot to get it done. He's a driver that really likes racing on that old Darlington surface, and he's had good runs there in the past, even in this 43 Legacy Motorsports car. So you got to keep an eye on him in the next couple of weeks. He is 27th in points as we speak. By the way, 2 less races than Austin Dillon, yet still ahead of him. I'd rather have him in the playoffs than Austin. Not trying to throw any shots that aren't deserved. I'm just saying. But if he wins one of the next 3 races, he's going to be in the playoffs. We cannot have 16 different drivers this year. Not going to happen. I don't think it's happened yet. I'm waiting for the year where we have 17 different drivers win and somebody's not going to make the playoffs who won a race because there's only 16 playoff spots. I really want that to happen one day. Right now, the 4 drivers who are not locked into the playoffs are Martin Truex Jr., Ty Gibbs, Bubba Wallace, and Chris Buescher, all of them within 78 points of that cut line. The first driver out is Ross Chastain, tied in points right now with Chris Buescher. Behind them, there's not really all that much going on. Chase Briscoe's 99 points behind the cut line. Kyle Busch needs to win a race. He's 119 behind. Todd Gilliland, Michael McDowell, 130, 151 points behind. So it's going to take a win from one of those guys. The only person that I can see right now where the cut line is, because remember, let's say Josh Berry goes out and wins at Michigan. Well, that knocks Chris Buescher down and puts Bubba Wallace on the last car in. If the playoff cut line stays where it is right now, it's going to be a race of 5 drivers for 4 spots. Truex, Gibbs, Wallace, Buescher, and Chastain are all going to be battling for that final spot. There's going to be 5 drivers and 4 spots available. I just don't see 100 points being made up in 3 races. It's hard, especially when you have Bubba, Buescher, and Chastain all separated by 3 points. You need all 3 of them to do bad to drop that cut line and really start to gain some points there. I just don't see that happening in the next 3 weeks. But we go to Michigan this weekend. We've had crazy things happen at Michigan before. We've seen some first-time winners at Michigan in the past. I mean, it's going to be a track where it's going to be tough to pass. That's just what we have in NASCAR now. I mean, it's going to be a little better than some of the other big speedway tracks that we have, just because there's some more lines for racing there. But I still expect air blocking to be a real factor, and everybody's favorite thing, when the leader gets out in front and starts to just put his car in front of the trailing car really can't do anything to combat it. I'm not excited about that, but I do like Michigan Raceway as a track. I think it's a lot of fun to watch. I'd love to go to a race at Michigan. That just seems like a fun track where they're flying around that thing, almost around 200 miles an hour. They used to go 212, but we're not in those days anymore. We've reached the halfway point on this Friday. Yeah, it's a Friday as well. We're going to move on. Oh, I have the Xfinity starting lineup for you here. Real quick, we'll squeeze in a little info. Sheldon Creed is on the pole. Riley Herbst will start second. This is kind of cut off, but it looks like Taylor Gravey third, Cole Custer fourth, Chandler Jones fifth, Chandler Smith fifth, Brandon Jones sixth. Ryan Sieg, Carson Kvapil, Jesse Love, and John Hunter Nemechek round out your top 10 starting lineup. So that is your lineup for the Xfinity race tomorrow. We'll be back here on the Scoreboard. Don't go anywhere. We're back after this.
More of Sports Director Joe Berg's The Scoreboard is coming up on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Well, after a couple of really pleasant days with that lower humidity, the muggies are set to start sliding up as we get into the upcoming weekend. A partly cloudy sky for our Friday. Temperatures will warm up to near 90 this afternoon with a low chance of an isolated shower or thunderstorm. Those chances will get better over the weekend, but still be hit or miss for our Saturday and Sunday. High temperatures both days right around 90, feeling closer to 100 with all that humidity. That's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Bob McIntosh here with the McIntosh Law Firm in Davidson. Serving this community has been a collective passion of our law firm since 1997. We offer the quality legal services and results you would expect from a large downtown firm, but with a personal, community-focused approach right here at home. The McIntosh Law Firm, your local legal resource.
To learn more about the McIntosh Law Firm, visit McIntoshLawFirm.com.
More than a century ago, Bunch Johnson Funeral Home was founded on compassion. Let us assist you with pre-planning for funerals and cremations. Our family is here when you need us. Bunch Johnson Funeral Home.
Have you taken the Desco Challenge? The people have spoken. Desco is where the professional goes for electrical supplies.
Hi, my name is Randy. I'm a general contractor, and I always trust the products at Desco Inc.
See for yourself at DescoInc.com.
Attention, fellow conservative investors. What does the name Reagan mean to you? It stands for being the ultimate conservative. It also stands for the Reagan Gold Group. Do you see storm clouds approaching? The stock market hates uncertainty, and there are plenty of reasons to be concerned. High inflation, unstable debt, and economic uncertainty are just a few. You have car insurance, homeowners insurance, and life insurance. But do you have insurance for your retirement savings and your 401k? We urge all fellow conservative investors to learn about the one asset that could help ensure your nest egg doesn't crack under economic pressure. G-O-L-D, gold. Call the one name any conservative investor needs to know about. Reagan Gold Group.
800-296-1557. 800-296-1557. 800-296-1557. That's 800-296.
Tilly Harley-Davidson is simply the best, and their service department is second to none. Right now, 1K, 5K, and 10K M8 service is only $351.25 plus tax, including SIN 3 and heavy gear oil. Stop by to schedule your next service or online at TillyHD.com. Be road ready with Tilly of Statesville.
I'm Bryce Johnson with this Unpacking It Sports and Faith Minute. No matter how bad a team in sports has been previously, they always have the opportunity for different outcomes moving forward. Failure in the past doesn't mean they have to fail in the future. In our own lives, we can fall into the trap of thinking we have no choice but to repeat our failures. But we must accept the fact that when we receive new life in Christ, we're no longer the same person that we used to be. We don't have to have the same results or repeat a pattern of sin because we've been given the power through Christ to do things differently. Today, let's embrace the powerful hope and assurance the Bible gives us when it says, "And because of His glory and excellence, He has given us great and precious promises." These are the promises that enable you to share His divine nature and escape the world's corruption caused by human desires. I'm Bryce Johnson, and you can unpack that. For more, go to unpackingit.com.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. The Venue sports streaming service that was to be launched in a partnership with Fox, Warner Brothers Discovery, and Disney has been blocked. It's a victory for Fubo, which said the venture would prevent competitors from offering their own skinny bundle of sports channels. New home construction surprised analysts and fell last month to the lowest level since the aftermath of the pandemic. Housing starts were down 6.8%, with a big drop in single-family units. Building permits, which point to future construction, fell 4%, double what was expected. Despite the disappointing snapshot on housing, overall consumer sentiment is improving. The University of Michigan Sentiment Index rose early this month for the first time in 5 months. The stock market halted a streak of 4 weeks of losses. The Dow was up 97 points, or 0.25% today. The S&P added 11, or 0.2%. The NASDAQ added 37, also 0.2. I'm Nancy Lyons, Bloomberg Radio.
It's the Scoreboard with your host, Sports Director Joe Berg on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back here on the Scoreboard talking a little NASCAR, getting you ready for Michigan. Now, I was just looking up some things from Michigan from last year. If you guys remember, Chris Buescher winning that race, battling with Martin Truex Jr. at the end, Tyler Reddick blowing a tire, lots of restart crashes because, well, everybody's bunched together, and these cars are not necessarily the hardest to drive. So you get a lot of action on the restarts, then it fans out, and it's kind of like, yeah, all right, now we just get to watch them parade around. Let's hear from Tyler Reddick on his disappointing finish at Michigan last year and whether or not he's looking for redemption this year.
You know, last year for us, we hit pit road for the final time and we lost a wheel. That was a tough. We pretty much won the race. Last stop was done. There wasn't any more cautions, so that was a brutal one to let slip away. I think the whole team's learned from it. You know, they're tough lessons, but nonetheless, if you learn from it, there's still a positive to be taken away from it. So I think all of us are going to be on this team are very hungry to get back to Michigan. We definitely ran a really good race there last year, did what we needed to do to get to the front and fight for the lead. So we're hoping for the same thing. We go back. This new Camry's been pretty much everywhere we've gone this year, been better. That just makes me that much more excited for it.
And if you do remember what happened last year, Tyler Reddick came off pit road on the final set of green flag stops. He jumped the 17 car of Chris Buescher in those pit stops, but unfortunately the tire did not hold up for him. Immediately he had to come down pit road, get it fixed, and ended up having a pretty poor result out of that one. But he had a fast car, and he's had fast cars all year. He probably should have won the Chicago Street Course. If you remember what happened in that one with Alex Bowman staying out on the wet tires, dry tires coming at the end of the race. It was like the perfect storm, but he hit the wall, he hit the inside wall. That kind of ruined his climb to the front in that one. But I would expect him to have a good car here. He likes Michigan. He's run good at Michigan in the past. And I think Reddick wouldn't be a bad bet for a driver to keep an eye on this week. RFK Racing, definitely going to keep an eye on them as well. You know, one thing that I find curious this year is how many engine failures we've seen from Joe Gibbs Racing this year. I feel like Ty Gibbs has blown 3 engines, and then I think right before we went to the break, the Olympic break, I believe it was Martin Truex who blew another engine. It's fishy to me, man. That's weird that they're blowing it. You really don't see that all that much anymore because, you know, all this stuff is mandated by NASCAR and whatnot. But you really don't see blown engines like that anymore. I was a little surprised. I would not keep an eye on Joe Gibbs Racing just because, well, I don't think they're going to win unless it's Denny. Well, maybe Christopher Bell as well. I think the driver to beat this weekend will end up being the 5 of Kyle Larson. There's been no on-track time, just a gut feeling that I have. He won the last race before we went to the break at Indianapolis, another controversial finish there. How many controversial finishes have we had this year? Like, seriously. So much controversy in NASCAR this year. But I'm going to put my money on the 5 car of Kyle Larson, figuratively, not literally. You know, no sports gambling for me. So I got Kyle Larson getting it done this weekend. We'll come back Monday and we'll chat about the race. See, I cannot wait to start hearing some of these drivers talk about the decision. Unless NASCAR has said, hey, you're not going to talk about this. You're going to go to the track, you're going to race, and you're not going to talk about the decision that was made. I wouldn't put it past them. I don't expect that. I'm just excited to hear what Denny thinks, what Chase Elliott thinks, what Austin Dillon thinks about his penalty. Now, obviously, RCR has decided to appeal the penalty. It still stays as NASCAR ruled during the appeal. So it's not like they appeal, it goes back to the way it was while the appeal process goes out. No, the call was made by NASCAR. RCR appealed that call, so they are keeping it as is until they finish the appeal. I wouldn't expect anything to change. Although there is an argument to be had that the 3 car did not mean to wreck Austin Dillon. I mean, you look at the video, he kind of emerges from the smoke. He's holding a line. That's Middle of the track. It's hard. It's hard for me to decide. The only people who know what was going on in the race car was Austin Dillon. And seeing some of his interviews, I don't think we're going to get a straight answer from him ever. So there's that. We're going to move on from the world of NASCAR now. I want to get into baseball a little bit. A little bit of a change, I guess, on top of the standings here in the AL East. Baltimore gets the win last night. So they are now 72-50, even with the New York Yankees. Both Baltimore and New York are in action tonight. The Orioles versus Detroit, and the Yankees are in Detroit. The Orioles are versus Boston, and the Yankees are in Detroit. I might have mixed that up the first time I said it. The Astros are starting to pull away from the Mariners in the AL West. They're on a nice 8-game heater right now. 8-game winning streak, separating themselves by 3 games over the Mariners. The AL West is going to be an interesting one because whoever wins that division is going to the playoffs, and whoever finishes second is probably not going to the playoffs, just with the way the wild card is so far this year. The Twins, the Royals, the other 2 teams in the wild card, one's going to be the Orioles or Yankees as well. That is going to be a fight until the end of the season. But right now, it's also the Twins and the Royals who are in. The Red Sox and then the Mariners are the first 2 teams out of the AL wild card race. Red Sox 2.5 games back, Mariners 3.5 games back in that one. In the National League, the Mets have fallen out of the wild card due to an incredible surge by the Diamondbacks and the Padres at literally the exact same time. They have had almost the same record all year. Going back to the beginning of the year when we had half of the National League playing, well, more than half of a majority of the National League playing at 500 baseball through like the first 2.5, 3 months of the season. That was weird. I'd never seen anything like that. And now all of a sudden the Diamondbacks and the Padres are 2 of the hottest teams in baseball. They are knocking on the door of that NL West lead. All 3 teams are going to be in action. The Dodgers, the Diamondbacks, and the Padres. Dodgers are on the road against St. Louis. The Diamondbacks also on the road against Tampa Bay. And the Padres are visiting the Rocky Mountains to play Colorado. It's going to be fun. That's going to... I hate to say this, but I'm rooting against the Dodgers right now. Wouldn't that be something? You sign Shohei Ohtani, you sign Yoshinobu, and you don't win your division? Come on now. Now, I know the playoffs are what matters, and they're going to the playoffs. They're 20 games above 500 right now. But it would just be great to see a team with that much firepower struggle and not win their... Yeah, 162 games, it's a long season, but you would think that it's long enough to where it would say, okay, the higher talent teams are going to finish higher in the standings. We still have 40 games remaining, right around 40 games. So don't get too far ahead of yourself. Don't get too far ahead. We still got a lot of time to see who's going to take that NL West, but that's 3 teams battling for a win right there in the division and home field advantage in the wild card round. So something to keep an eye on as we go through the last month and a half. Yes, month and a half. The baseball season ends at the end of September. We're mid-August. It's the 16th. It's almost New Year's. It's almost Christmas. It's almost summer. We got one more segment on this Friday. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back right after this.
This guy knows his sports, right? There's more of the Scoreboard with Joe Berg on the way on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Well, after a couple of really pleasant days with that lower humidity, the muggies are set to start sliding up as we get into the upcoming weekend. A partly cloudy sky for our Friday. Temperatures will warm up to near 90 this afternoon with a low chance of an isolated shower or thunderstorm. Those chances will get better over the weekend, but still be hit or miss for our Saturday and Sunday. High temperatures both days right around 90, feeling closer to 100 with all that humidity. That's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Here is your WSIC community calendar. Langtree Live in Mooresville continues their free Thursday concert series with the Rocky Lynn Band on August 15th. Rocky brings his original and patriotic country music performance to Langtree Lake Norman off exit 31 from I-77. Grab your lawn chairs, set up your spot on the grass, eat and drink at the restaurants and pubs of Langtree, and enjoy the Rocky Lynn concert Thursday at 7 p.m. RevFast in Mooresville presents Hot Rods and Hops on Friday night. This monthly gathering for the car, truck, and motorcycle communities begins at 6 p.m. Food trucks and Hoptown Brewing will be on hand for eats and drinks. Bring your classic or new hot rod out and come make some new friends. RevFast Detail Shop in Mooresville presents Hot Rods and Hops on Friday night. The Cookout Monster Truck Bash is at the dirt track at Charlotte Motor Speedway this Saturday. Sparks will fly as the metal-bashing 2,000 horsepower machines return for a night of high-flying action on the planet's most diabolical outdoor course. Gates open at 4 p.m. Bring a Cookout Cup for free early access to the pit party beginning at 3:30. Pit party includes monster truck rides, inflatable slides, bounce houses, face painting, an autograph session, and souvenirs. Opening ceremonies will begin at 7. Visit CharlotteMotorspeedway.com or the CMS app for information and details. Ghostface Brewing in Mooresville rocks their parking lot this Sunday with a concert by Black Glass. Waves Entertainment brings their stage and sound to Ghostface for a show by Carolina's premier rock and roll cover band. The brewery will be open to serve their full kitchen and draft beer menus. Rock the Lot begins at 5 p.m. Bring your chairs for a good seat at the 6 p.m. Black Glass concert at Ghostface Brewing in Mooresville this Sunday. To keep up with all the events happening around the community and much more, including amazing local deals, download the WSIC News app today.
Hi, this is Andy with Lake Mountain Coffee, located at 110 West Broad Street in Statesville. Many of you probably know us from our large coffee house downtown, but did you know we're also the owners of Statesville's first and only coffee roasting facility? We purchase coffee beans from around the world, bring them right here to Statesville, roast them in our facility for our customers around the region. Why would you go to a grocery store, purchase old coffee beans off the shelf, or any other source when you can have fresh roasted beans at Lake Mountain Coffee? 131 West Broad Street in Statesville.
The Scoreboard with Joe Berg continues now on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, final segment. Send you off on this Friday. Have some fun here in the final segment. Before we move any further, do want to acknowledge the tragic news out of motorsports early today. Late model driver Scott Bloomquist tragically losing his life in a plane crash early this morning from the reports. So definitely a tough day for the motorsports world. Late model legend. You recognize that car anywhere, and you look at that cross skull that he had on the door panel. You know exactly whose car that is. So sad day for motorsports. Scott Bloomquist losing his life in a plane crash earlier today. There are a few news stories that I want to get to. Let's start with this one from a couple of days ago. Not major news at all, but the NCAA got sued yet again. This time by Rylan Masterson. Rylan Masterson, he is an NCAA hockey player, or he is a hockey player who is suing the NCAA. The reason being is there is a rule in the NCAA that prevents any player who has appeared in a major junior hockey league game from playing in the NCAA. So the major junior hockey league, that's the OHL, the WHL, the QMJHL. Those are different divisions in the Canadian Hockey League. The reason is some players on that team, on those teams, have signed professional contracts with NHL teams. The NCAA bylaw states that an individual shall not be eligible for intercollegiate athletic in a sport if the individual ever competed on a professional team. I am not sure that that's going to stand because I don't believe the Canadian Hockey League is a professional league. And the reason that he lost his eligibility is because he played in two preseason games. That's it. And he lost his NCAA eligibility because of it. I don't agree with that. The Canadian Hockey League is got young players who are not under any contract at all, and it does have some older young players, like 20 years old, who do already have NHL contracts. But those players, they are the ones that shouldn't be playing in the NCAA, not the people who are on the team, because I don't think it's technically professional up there. But I may be wrong on that. Some of the schools that have been sued in this lawsuit include Niagara University, Rochester Institute of Technology, Boston College, Boston University, University of Denver, Quinnipiac University, and Notre Dame. A lot of others as well that were named in that lawsuit. Let's move over to more money, more things in money in sports. Everybody's favorite. NIL. John Ruiz, who is apparently the NIL king of Miami. Well, apparently there is substantial doubt over the company of the Miami booster, John Ruiz. In a filing, in an SEC filing, not the Football League SEC, Ruiz said that LifeWallet, a large-scale medical claims company, had made $7.7 million in revenue last year and suffered a net loss of $211 million. It is currently unclear, and I want to make that clear, it is not clear whether the company's financial troubles will impact its NIL deals with the current athletes. Ruiz has made his name known very fast in the NIL world once it became legal. Think about the women's basketball team for Miami, the men's basketball team a couple of years ago for Miami. They're supposed to be having some pretty good football players there. One of the players demanded a raise in NIL and basketball, and he made it happen. He gave him more money in NIL. So this guy's kind of been bankrolling the U over the past couple of years, but that may soon be coming to an end, especially if his company goes under. So what happens if he goes bankrupt? What happens to those NIL deals? I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. I don't even think the NCAA assumed that big billionaires of companies would want to send money to their alma maters, which I don't know why they didn't think that was going to be a thing, but you got to somehow protect the money here, especially if the companies are going to go under. It's Wild West right now. Wild, Wild West. Page Will Smith. The NCAA has one more thing here. The college football playoffs won't use conference titles as tiebreakers anymore, mostly because the new 12-team format guarantees bids for the 5 highest-ranked conference winners. Remember when this first came out, it was going to be the Power 5 conferences, everybody who won the conference championship in the Power 5 conferences would automatically be in the playoffs. Then the Pac-12 ceased to exist as we knew it, and they kind of had to rearrange a little bit. So now it is just the top 5 highest ranked conference champions. So technically, just follow me on this. You could have the first 5 highest ranked conference champions somehow, in a way. I don't know how this is going to happen. Let's go with something crazy. Let's go Charlotte wins the American, and they're like ranked number 3 somehow. Who knows? and App State wins the Sun Belt, and they're ranked like 10. And then you got Alabama at 1, and let's throw, I don't know, whoever you want in the Big Ten down at 10. You'd have American and Sun Belt in the playoffs locked in because they'd be one of the highest ranked conference. This is going to be crazy. Something weird is going to happen. They'll probably change it before there's a chance for something crazy and something weird to happen. But, man, there could be an unranked team win a conference championship and be on a bye week going into, like, there's so much that can happen here. I find it interesting. I find it fun. I like it so much better than what we used to have. And I think once we get used to it, people will agree. It's always been, and I was annoying about this when I was growing up, how stupid it is to have people, a committee, sit down and say, who's going to play for the national championship this year? Who's going to play? Well, let's choose those two teams. They can go play for a national. That's so stupid. At least now there's a little bit of rhyme and reason to it where you have to win against good teams and whatnot. I know you don't pick apart what I'm saying too much, but at least now there's a challenge to it. Like, you got to go through a playoff of really good teams to see who the national champion is. All right, let's finish off the week strong here. We got to get to this day in sports history. There's some things that happened, including Jamaican sprinter Usain Bolt setting a new world record of 9.69 seconds to win the 100-meter gold medal at the 2008 Summer Olympics in Beijing. That one's going to stand for a long time. It really is. Michael Phelps wins his 7th of 8 gold medals at the Beijing Olympics when he took the 100-meter butterfly. Beat the world... He beat the Olympic record of 50.58, and he beat his opponent by 1/100th of a second. That was on this day, 2008. Also, a little bit of older news here from like way long ago. We have some baseball news. Cardinals center fielder Curt Flood gets 8 straight hits in a doubleheader split against the LA Dodgers at Dodger Stadium. So in a doubleheader, he got 8 consecutive hits. That is impressive. That is incredibly impressive. And let's see if we can pull one more out of here. Here we go. On this day, 1927, Babe Ruth hit a home run off of Tommy Thomas in the 5th inning to hit his first home run out of Comiskey Park in Chicago. New York beat the White Sox that day, 8-1. Thanks, everyone, for tuning into the Scoreboard this week. It was a fun week hanging out with you, chatting with you guys. I will be back Monday, same time, same place. We'll talk about the Panthers. We'll talk about NASCAR. We'll get you ready for the upcoming high school football season. We'll get you ready for college football beginning next weekend. It's going to be a busy, busy week next week, so make sure you tune in to that. Have a great weekend, everyone. It's supposed to be warm, so stay cool. Until next week, I'll talk to you guys then. Have a good weekend, everyone. See ya!
Serving you better than ever before.